Hello, this is Chris from God is a Geek. We are here to talk about one of the biggest releases that remains in the year, and that is Far Cry 6. And I'm here with Adam, who has played about 6 hours of it. So, thanks for joining me, Adam.
Yeah, welcome, mate.
Firstly,
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I mean, 6 hours is a lot, so there'll be quite a bit to unpack.
Well, it is, but not in a Ubisoft game. Do you know what I mean? Like 6 hours in a Ubisoft game is actually,
true.
It sounds more than it is.
Yeah. How many watchtowers did you climb? No
watchtowers. I climbed one tower, but it wasn't it wasn't for anything other than I wanted to climb that tower. It didn't unlock any map or anything.
Well, it's been quite a while since Far Cry 5, and obviously we played a lot of that. This kind of, so the Far Cry games don't get too stale. They kind of, I feel like now they have to do something different. So I guess my first question is, how different does it feel to play? Like, what is different from Far Cry 5?
So that is a complicated question with a fairly simple answer. To me, this is... So I liked Far Cry 5, and what was the... I can't remember what it was. Like they keep doing like a game and then a spin-off of the game. Like, was it New Hope?
New Dawn.
New Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay, and New Dawn, I was like, this is just Far Cry 5 again. But I did like Far Cry 5, and I did like Far Cry 4, but I think most people will go back to the third game and say, that's the pinnacle. I don't think that's a bold statement to make. This, for me, is a return to form in a big, big way. Because Ubisoft have a problem with this, I think, and I think they know this, because with something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example, they changed it up enough to make it feel good. And again, not that the previous games weren't good, but this felt... just something about it felt different. Far Cry does this, Far Cry 6. Hey, Adam from GodIsAGeek.com here. Sorry to interrupt, but if you wouldn't mind just hitting the big old subscribe button and maybe the bell to notify you of every new video we release, we'd be really grateful. Thank you so much and enjoy the video. They've added loot. The co-op that they've said, I haven't actually been able to test this yet, but the co-op, they said you keep your own progression, which is a big thing we had a problem with, I think in 5. So you can jump into each other's world and you keep your progression. That's a major thing for me.
That is massive.
That actually makes co-op worth playing. Yeah. But the loot's the biggest deal now. I'm not allowed to talk about the opening of the game for spoiler reasons. I think all I'll say is it sets the game up nicely. But the loot is the biggest deal here because it makes your inventory, which they call your arsenal, feel like massive. There's so much going on. Like you find boxes in the environment and it'll have a hat, but every single cosmetic item, be it hat, trousers, gloves, or whatever, has a buff to it. So, for example, very early on, reasonably early on, you get a flamethrower called a Tostado, I think it's called, which is, again, and the mission is actually go and burn down this drug field, which, so again, it's kind of a nod to... I mean, it's not a nod so much as a direct look at that. Remember that. You liked that. We've done that again. But you need to equip, or you're recommended to equip, flame-proof gear. Because you're burning stuff and there are flame enemies. And other enemies that appear in this game have particular weaknesses. Like they will be more weak to certain types of bullets. So when you go to your crafting bench and you want to create something, you'll need to create a muzzle or some, technical terms aren't my thing with guns, I just shoot them. But you'll need to create a certain type of thing for your gun that lets you mod it to fire, say, armor-piercing rounds. And this is, again, within the first few hours, you're experiencing all of this. And it's like, okay, so they've taken... Again, I'm not going to blow smoke up anyone's arse. It is, again, kind of like... They've done that thing of they took other bits from other Ubisoft games and made them into this one. But it really works for Far Cry because that experience of you're in the wilderness, in this sense, you're a revolutionary trying to fight back against the government. In that respect, all this kind of, cobbling things together works. But they've also given you, like, ultimate abilities. So you have this thing that I'm spacing on the name of that you put on your back. It's like a big backpack. And it's all made out of custom parts, and it looks like tubes and shit like that. And when you kill enough enemies, you get your ultimate bar fills up. And the first one you get, for example, you press, I think it's left and right bumper, and you fire. It pulls out to third person, and it fires homing rockets off at people. And that seemed like, oh, this is cool. Then what they did is they actually jumped us to like much further into the game where you've unlocked a lot more of this stuff, and there's loads of these things. Like, and then they're all different. So yes, you build the flamethrower, but you can also build like a dart gun or a bow gun or like nail guns and stuff, you know, and electroshock guns and all this. But also the backpacks are all different. So one of the backpacks, they've all got their own mods, and they let you have carryables. So the backpack I liked, the special ability was self-revive. So if you get downed, you just press left and right bumper because you've got the full bar, and you're back in the game. But it also came with like a health grenade. But that wasn't much use to me playing on my own, so I ended up switching to a different backpack, which had like a sticky grenade and a throwable axe and all these more offensive weapons. And it makes the whole thing feel more customizable. Like, I really felt like Far Cry was a game that either needed this, well, I didn't know what this was at the time, or it needed a rest. And having played this, I'm like, like 6 hours, I wanted to play more. It was one of those where, because it was it was a full day preview essentially, but because of that, I didn't. After a few hours, I was like, I'm not doing any more story because I want to do this when it matters. I don't want to do this all again. So I just started doing, the crazy open world stuff, and it still exists. And like, again, I put this in my preview, and I've done it again. We've got 6 minutes into this discussion, and I haven't mentioned that you can ride horses now, which
wow,
is like really cool. and like there was a moment, and I thought about it, and I thought, have they just added this in? And I accidentally ran near a cliff top, and then I was off the cliff and in the water. I thought, oh my god, I've killed my horse. He bucked me off because he's not going in the water. He saw me going for the cliff, and he just like threw me off, and I'm in the water looking up at this horse, looking over a ledge as if to say, well, I'm not going in there, mate. You know, it's got this kind of, that's still got that wild open world thing, and I really, really like it. I will say that there's a few bits that need tightening up, but I think they will do that.
There's time, isn't there? I think, like, with like the last Far Cry, like the guns, like you could go to a shop and you could buy new guns, and it like they always kind of did have a fairly decent range of.
There's lots of guns now, by the way.
But like what you're saying, the kind of crafting and like
customization,
you just said, like, lots more guns. Yeah. That's going to make it infinitely better because the gunplay was never bad. Like, it was always excellent. And now you've got all this to do in this open world.
Like, there was almost too much choice when I skipped towards the point where I could like have loads of guns, because I guess because I hadn't earned them myself and done that slowly, it was like there's too much. Like, do I have a shotgun? Do I have a submachine gun and my flamethrower? And then I realised I could actually carry two of these. They're called resolver weapons, like the big ones. Like, maybe I take a nail gun and a flamethrower. But then and I'm right. It was so much choice, and every one of these items is like has 3 mod slots on it, like muzzle and all this stuff that they add that to it as well, and then combine that with the gear factor. Like, you have to get hats that are like it's a lot, but also it's don't get me wrong, it's not Diablo. Do you know what I mean? It's not that far down the line of a loot game, but I'm like, I really cannot wait to play more of that.
That's amazing, because like I played Far Cry 5 about 3 times over, and that was like via New Game Plus. And this is me completely speculating here. Like, nothing's been said yet, I don't think. But if they do that, where you can go through it again and keep your weapons, then you will be able to kind of get to experience all the kind of weapons they've got to offer and stuff.
The thing is there's so much stuff you can collect out in this world. Like, you are. It's a bit like a Bethesda game, like, you know, when you're just like constantly picking up cheese wheels and stuff. It's like there's gasoline. There's like 10 gasoline canisters in every base. There's scrap everywhere. Like, you are constantly picking up things that allow you to upgrade or mod or build. And I mean, I've hardly even talked about the gunplay, but I did something about the Far Cry games that stealth. I think it's gamey enough. Like, you can still sidle up to someone almost sideways on before they'll notice you're there and you can kill them. But I took out a whole base stealthily, didn't set off an alarm. And again, the mission itself was like, you need to get this key and steal this thing. And it felt kind of heist-like, but in a stealthy, quiet, subdued way. I'd like to say, I don't know what other people are going to make of this. But from someone who felt like I needed a little bit of a break, like Far Cry 5 spin-off was just kind of one game too many that was too similar. This one, doesn't feel that way. It feels massive. I had a quick look at the map, and holy shit, that looks big. I thought when they skipped me forward, I was like, oh yeah, this is a big area, but this is like the area. Then I zoomed out, and it's like, oh no, it's not. This is one of many areas. I really cannot wait to play this game. Like, I really hope the co-op works the way they're suggesting it does, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just before we go, what does the world look like? Like, I mean, it's very different to Montana. That's
varied, I feel. Like, there's clearly, like, sort of little sort of favela towns in, you know, nearby the lakes. There's, like, shanty towns where the revolutionaries have built their thing. I didn't see even half of what the world had to offer. It looks quite varied to me. It looks, I guess, typically Far Cry. Like, it looks like there's mountain areas and that. But I didn't... Like, basically, if you imagine a map on your screen, I only really explored one side over to the left and one side down at the bottom, and then there's a whole half of it I didn't get a chance to. I realised it really late, and I was like, oh god, I should have just... Well, that's the thing, there's anti-aircraft guns, so you do have to sort of take them out and stuff. But, like, it just seems... I just really like it. Like, there's some stuff in there that I think, like I say, needs tightening up. There's time for that. There's a few sort of hokey bits of dialogue. There's a little bit... I don't know if I like this or not, but there's a bit of self-awareness. Like, your character kind of quips about stuff that's happening as if to say, yes, we know. And I'm never sure if I like that or if I think you should either not address it or just not do it. But these are really minor things based on 6 hours that I really like this game. Really like it.
Oh man, it sounds great. So, I mean, if you've enjoyed this video, that's excellent, and we appreciate you. If you just subscribe, click the bell button. There's a lot of content going on at the minute on our site. A lot of previews, reviews, all that kind of thing. Thanks for joining me, Adam.
Welcome.
You can go and read more of his thoughts in a bit more of a less excitable, chattery way.
Less rambly.
Yeah. On our site on godisgeek.com. But that's everything. Thank you all for watching, and we'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.